Good morning guys, and welcome to this edition of Cyclopedia. Today I'm taking a ride along the northeast coast of Singapore from Seletar all the way around to Changi, stopping at several points of interest along the way. Now my first stop today is here at Hampstead Wetlands Park. Now you may not have heard of it because it's really small. It's only 3.23 hectares, which is, believe me, is pretty small, but it certainly packs a punch if you're into wildlife and especially birds, because as the name suggests, wetlands, there's going to be a lot of birds here, and where there's birds there's a lot of birders. Check it out, there's dozens of birders here pretty much every morning trying to get great shots of all the beautiful flying wildlife that you can find here. On the morning I visited, this beautiful buffy fish owl was the centre of attention as he enjoyed a shrew for his breakfast. These beautiful images and video were taken by a good friend of mine who's also a professional photographer. Also on show were these spectacular blue-tailed bee-eaters and the ubiquitous oriental pied hornbills. Now for those of you who don't know, this place is also pretty cool because it's got a bunch of old colonial buildings that were built next to the old aerodrome, and they're still around, but many of them have been converted into restaurants. Now I've never eaten at any of them, so I can't recommend any, but if you're interested you can have a look online. There's about a dozen different restaurants here, and I would imagine if you come down in the evening it's a pretty pleasant place to be. Now, just like at Sembawang Naval Base in my previous video, I seem to have stumbled across a former colonial housing estate that was obviously built next to a military facility. The cool thing about this one is the names are guaranteed to give any self-respecting Brit, and especially Londoners, a tinge of nostalgia and make them think of the old country. But this one has to be the best of the bunch. Okay guys, for those of you who've watched my Brompton series, and if you've taken a closer look at my bike, you'll notice that although I've had it probably 12 or 13 years, I've never actually done any modifications or upgraded any of the parts, unlike most Brompton users. In fact, the only thing I've bought for my Brompton in the years that I've had it is this bag, and believe me, this has seen better days. It's probably time for a new one. But if you paid closer attention to my bike today, you'll notice that at long last I've actually got some new parts on there. I've got some new easy wheels, and I've got some new levers for the hinges, and I've also got a new handlebar, and all that is thanks to this really great Taiwanese company, Kuosac, who obviously saw my videos and probably felt sorry for me, and so they sent me a bunch of parts, and I've stuck them all on, and I must say I'm pretty happy with them. And even better, they actually sent me a new set of wheels, although I haven't had time to put them on. I'll probably have them on in time for my next video. So I'm really looking forward to completing all the upgrades and riding my new improved Brompton. And so that's a big thank you to Kuosac, and any of you guys who are interested out there, they make a lot of really nice parts which you can use to pimp up your Brompton. I'll put details of the ones I've got in the description so you can check them out if you want to. Now those of you who watch my Bukit Brown video will know that I was craving porridge at the time, and unfortunately I didn't get to satisfy that craving. Well, today I'm going to put that right. Let's go.
Very nice hot tree that is set for you.
Okay.
It's at the below the 100-year-old.
Okay guys, I'm here on Old Punggol Road, which, as you can see behind me, is no longer a through road because the whole area behind me is currently under construction, and they're building a digital district, and apparently it's Singapore's most highly anticipated smart district. But anyway, I'd originally planned to ride along Punggol Road, but my local knowledge, it seems, is out of date and you can't do that anymore. So I'm just going to sit down and tell you what I was going to say instead. What I was going to say was this. If I'd have ridden my bike along this road several years ago, I'd have probably had to put a peg on my nose. Because at the time, this whole area was a centre for livestock farming in Singapore. Beginning in the mid-1970s, Punggol was designated as the pig farming area for the whole of Singapore, as farms were relocated from other farming areas of the island under development. Punggol's time as Pork Central, however, didn't last long, as just a decade or so later, concerns about water pollution and land scarcity led to Singapore's pig farming industry being phased out, the last farm shutting up shop in 1989. Nowadays, a large portion of Singapore's pork comes from Indonesia. You know that pork brand in Bulan? Well, that is the name of an island which is located right next door to Batam, and it's home to the largest pig farm in Southeast Asia. At any one time, there are 250,000 pigs on that farm, with around 1,000 or so shipped over to Singapore on barges each day to satisfy local pork consumption demands. Another place I really like in Singapore is this place, Pulau Serangoon, or Coney Island as it's better known these days. It's just a really peaceful place and it's nice and cool. I mean, today the temperature dropped more or less 5 degrees as soon as I entered through the gate, and I just love these super tall, I think they're called casuarina trees that are all over the island. They just give it a really nice relaxing feel. This place, like many of the other islands in Singapore, has grown substantially over the years. If you look on any old map of Singapore, this place used to be really small, only around 13 hectares. But successive rounds of land reclamation mean that it is now almost 10 times its original size at about 100 hectares. Now this place also had another name back in the day, as in the 30s and the 40s it was known as Haw Island, after the Tiger Balm brothers who bought it in 1936. Now they even built a huge mansion on this island which still stands today, although it's derelict and off limits, although you can actually find some of the structure without entering the off limits area. Now the Coney Island name came about in 1950 when a local Indian businessman purchased the island and originally intended to turn it into a huge amusement palace similar in nature to the original Coney Island in New York. But those plans, along with several others over the years, never came to fruition, and after several rounds of construction and reclamation, it became what it is today, reopening in 2015 as Coney Island Park, and let's hope it stays that way. Here at Pasir Ris Park, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I've done a video about it once before which you can see here. But in case you didn't already know, Pasir Ris Park has probably what is the best children's park in the whole of Singapore, and it's great for kids, both small and big. Thought to be named after the Chengai trees that once grew here, the name Changi is now synonymous with Singapore, mainly because of its world-class airport. However, back in the day it was famous for its coconut and sago plantations, and from the mid-19th century this place became popular as a picnic spot and vacation getaway, despite the presence in those days of tigers who were said to swim across from Johore via Pulau Ubin to give birth. In more recent years, Changi became to be associated with the military and war, mainly because of the bases constructed in this area and the fact that around 50,000 Allied troops were interned here during the Japanese occupation of Singapore. Now, talking of war, have you ever heard of this place? It's called the Johore Battery. Built in the 1930s, this was the site of 3 monster 15-inch artillery cannons that were meant to defend Singapore from invasion. These massive guns fired shells weighing up to 800 kilograms each and could sink ships at a distance of up to 30 kilometers. It was named after Johore's Sultan Ibrahim, who donated money that went towards its construction. And it was one of 6 coastal batteries built to protect the naval base up the coast at Sembawang. But as we know, things didn't quite go to plan. And as Singapore fell, these guns were destroyed to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. After the war, the battery lay forgotten for many years until it was rediscovered, renovated and reopened to the public in 2002. Okay guys, that's it for today. I'm heading home now. If you like this video, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and catch me every Saturday morning for my latest adventure. And if you don't want to miss it, ring that bell. Okay guys, take it easy. I'll see you next time. Over and out.